Emergency Department, Emergency Services Physician, Dr. Alan Lazzara. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey guys, morning.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, congratulations, newlywed Alan Lazzara.
Yeah, very excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you are a renowned national expert on hunter safety. You've been published, you've been widely quoted and interviewed about because you've done a lot of research.
Yeah, that's overly generous, but yeah, I've taken an interest in it. It's nice to do something that that meshes with your vocation and your avocation and put them together. So, but definitely not national.
So when you think, a lot of people don't hear about too many hunting injuries unless they happen to work in the emergency department.
Sure, yeah.
So, but there's a lot of hunting-related injuries that happen.
There can be. It's not something like car accidents or ATV accidents or things like that. But I think statistics don't really matter when it happens to you. If it happens to you or one of your family members, then it doesn't matter if it's 1 in 100 or 1 in 100,000. It's still a very serious event. So. But I'm a big believer, we see a lot of different kinds of accidents, different kinds of trauma, but I'm a big believer in an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think that in all aspects of what we do outdoors, you can really prevent a lot of these injuries.
Before I met you, I thought the hunter injury was a heart attack. If anyone was going to get injured hunting, they were out there in the woods and they had a heart attack, but that's not the case.
It happens for sure. I think that there's an older component of people that hunt, and so if you're not exercising throughout the year and don't really take care of yourself, and you go out there and try and drag a 150-pound deer through the woods, it's going to be a cardiac strain. So people do have heart attacks. We've seen that before, but that's not the typical thing that we worry about. But always good to stay in shape and follow with your doctor and get those labs that need to be done occasionally.
I know a lot of hunters. Everyone who lives in Jackson knows a lot of hunters. Yeah. I don't know too many that use a harness when they're on their deer stand.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But that's a common thing. Kind of like my grandfather didn't wear a seatbelt often,
right? But
I wear my seatbelt every time. I think it takes generations for people to get those preventative mechanisms kind of ingrained in them.
So they fall out of trees, and it's guns. Guns are also one of the factors.
Guns. So that was the idea for the research, is that I had looked at the number of firearm-related injuries in the country, and we used a national electronic surveillance system that has 100 different emergency departments in it. And somebody had already used that study. A guy from Indiana and a group of people had looked at it and found it was about 1.6 per 10,000 hunters per year. Firearm-related injuries, so 1.6. So we looked at it and looked at some of the other research studies that have been done, and after compiling that data, we saw it was more around 4.5 or 5 per 10,000 hunters per year falling out of tree stands getting injured. Now, those injuries can range from a bruise on the knee to a broken back or paralysis, but it's about 3 times higher than a firearm-related injury. In this graphic that's being shown right now, that's where that data comes from, the National Electronic Injury Surveillance System. And so I plotted that out from 2004 to 2022. You can see during the last couple years, it looked like it was going down, but now it's going back up.
Interesting.
There's probably some variation on sampling and how many people actually go to the emergency department. This was another graphic I created to show the green line is the number of big game hunters. Big game hunters are the hunters that use tree stands, like people that are hunting bear or deer, are typically in the Midwest or southeastern United States. And the red line is the yearly tree stand related injuries per 10,000 hunters. So you can see it's remained relatively stable even though the number of big game hunters has dropped. So a greater proportion of hunters are falling despite the falling number of big game hunters in the country. And that's a generational thing. Not as many people hunt as they used to, but it's still 9 million or 10 million people per per year are hunting. So
yeah, and it's busy out there too.
Yeah,
right?
it's about
you got to watch out for others.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's what we get taught in hunter safety and the kind of the ethics and etiquette that and safety protocols that we all aspire to and abide by.
Yeah.
But accidents happen, and the Department of Natural Resources tracks those accidents or tracks those. Sometimes they're called negligent discharges and not always called accidents. Just like ER doctors don't always call car accidents, they call them motor vehicle collisions because a lot of times they're preventable.
Right.
So the Department of Natural Resources, like many states in Michigan, they track the firearm-related injuries, but they don't track the tree stand-related injuries, which, you know, if you have a problem that's yay big, but a problem that's 3 times the size, you think we should be tracking those. But there's problems with trying to find people hanging from trees and camouflage. And, you know, are you wearing your harness? You know, that's an impossible task to do. So I really think the way to get it done is through education. And this graphic that's being shown is something that I put together, and I'm going to propose to the DNR that we put this with somebody's tag that they get in the mail. So when you get a deer tag mailed to you or you buy one online, first you need a hunting license, and you can only get a hunting license if you've passed hunter safety. And then you need your ticket, which is the tag to be able to shoot a deer. And you get those mailed to you typically if you buy them online. You can get them at stores as well, but it just comes in a simple envelope, and I thought what a reasonable and cheap idea to put a little card in there that says, bring this with you, just as a one-click reminder before you go up in the stand to wear your harness, always clip in.
Very good idea.
I mean, we don't have, they're like seatbelts, right? So but we don't have the beeps and the bips in the car and that annoying sound that won't let you drive when you go climb up in a tree stand. So that's, I feel like, the best we could probably do.
Have you ever been hunting?
No.
I went once.
Really?
Yeah, you would have hated it. We were there about 20 minutes.
Where did you go? What did you do?
We were off South Jackson Road, on about 4.5 acres.
I mean,
Plenty of space.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it just depends what you're hunting. So
I didn't see anything, lost patience, fired the gun, climbed out of the tree stand, and I've never hunted again.
Was that with Tom?
It was with his son.
Oh.
Yeah. Son. I probably...
People that didn't know.
And I'll
People
be
that
honest
don't
with
know
you.
hunting. You went hunting with people
I didn't have a
that,
hunter's license.
No.
I didn't have a license at the time.
Yeah.
How could I have?
It was a pistol too, wasn't
It
it?
wasn't a pistol.
oh, well,
It was, no.
What
Could
are
have been
these
a
tree
pistol,
stands?
actually.
So you're in a tree. What does a tree stand look like? I mean, is it like a volleyball?
They're not very
Oh, it's like a
luxurious.
volleyball referee's perch.
There's a lot of different kinds. There's about 5 main kinds. This is a homemade stand, which are not recommended anymore, or a platform stand.
Okay.
That those degrade over time because the nails in the trees get pushed out. This is a ladder stand, and you can see he's using a line to haul up his equipment, which is protocol and what you want to do because people need their hands and their feet to climb up. You don't want to drop anything sharp or breakable or dischargeable from 10 feet up. This is called a climber stand. So these are kind of an order of evolution of different kinds of stands.
This looks good here.
This is what I use actually. It's like tubular steel, and you kind of climb the tree like you're a telephone pole worker, but as you're doing it, you're attached in with a lineman's belt and to a safety line. And they feel very secure, surprisingly, and they're very comfortable as well.
How high do you like to go up?
I probably am about 15 feet at the bottom of my feet, and that's about how high I go. From my research and just from the amount of comfort I have, how high I get, less severe injuries occur if you're lower to the ground. That makes sense, right? So if you're 25 feet up and you fall, that's going to hurt a lot more. It's like falling out of a moving vehicle and hitting the ground. It's not the fall that kills you; it's the rapid stop, right? For everything. But so about 11 to 15 feet up, people get less injured. Things above 17 feet, people tend to be more severely injured.
Yeah. So if you jump out of that third story, you're more likely.
Right. Same thing. That's I don't know what you say. The old adage of you can jump off of one story, but I've seen plenty of people fall off stuff not that high and get hurt real bad. So
that last guy, he was went through a lot of trouble to get 4 feet off the ground.
Right. Well, that's an example. That other graphic is an example of a newer type of stand. So that's called a hang-on stand, And those little steps on the bottom right there, those are called sticks or ladder sticks. And people tend to put 3 or 4 of those up to get up to their stand. And so those are attached to the tree with straps, and you step on those. And then the next one is the newest iteration. That's called a saddle. And that's basically rock climbing equipment that they've utilized for now deer hunting and hunting from above. So the tree saddle is supposedly very, very comfortable, and you can kind of 360 move yourself around the tree. They have the foot platform that you stand on. I have not graduated to that yet, but I used to rock climb when I was younger, and I may eventually. But you really have to, know what you're doing before you're getting high like that, getting up in the tree. So this is a full body harness, or also known as a full arrest system. So he's wearing a full body harness in the orange, and then he's tied into his safety strap at the top of the tree, and he also has a safety line going down the back side as well that he can use to ascend and descend the tree. Those are the main principles of the fall arrest system. And if you're not wearing your harness, it's not gonna protect you. Yeah. Just like if you have a seatbelt in the car, you're not wearing it, it's not gonna protect you.
Yep.
So.
Well, I can see why there's hesitancy to do that, because obviously it's a lot of work, a lot of stuff to haul, a lot of time to get it all set up. But I guess if it protects a broken neck, it's well worth it.
If you're going to be up there for a while too, I mean, it's worth the extra time.
For sure. It doesn't really take that much time. Just like, that putting that seatbelt on, that's how I liken them to modern, modern cars and stuff. It takes probably about a minute and a half to get your harness on. What takes more time is spending the whole day in the emergency department, and then spending time in the ICU, and then rehabilitation. There was one study that I looked at that was done out of New York, and they said that out of the hunters they saw who fell, the average time in a rehab facility is about 6 to 7 days, and then they also had to have in-home services. So very costly, very time-consuming, much more than just wearing your tree safety belt. Yeah. So.
Well, we'll have to have you back when it's time to put the Christmas tree lights up on the house.
That's a great, I find ways to put harnesses on all the time. To, climbing on the side of my house, for sure. That's a great idea.
Good luck out in the woods, too.
Thank you very much.
From Henry Ford Jackson Hospital and the Emergency Department, Emergency Services Physician, Dr. Alan Lazzara. More of the morning show after this.